and welcome to today's ION vlog, 10 minutes of tech gab. My name is Jan Odegard, Senior Director of Academic and Industry Partnerships at the ION. I'm super excited to be here today with Eribarne, Principal and Co-founder of HUMANXP. Welcome to the show, Erin. How are you doing?
Hi, great. I'm doing awesome. Thank you so much for having me. We're so excited about what the ION is going to be for the city of Houston and for tech. So I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, very good. So I'm really glad you could join me today, because when we spoke about a couple of weeks ago, I was really excited about the story you were telling about and how you engaged with industry, and I really wanted to follow up on that. These are unprecedented times, but I wanted nevertheless to take the opportunity and really get to know HUMANXP and get everybody else to know HUMANXP and sort of hear about your team and how you're adjusting to COVID-19 realities. You know, working from home, it's a new reality.
It sure is. It sure is.
Yeah. So let's get into it. And so for starters, so everybody sort of has a frame of mind here. Tell us a little bit about HUMANXP's business and sort of where are you sort of in the landscape of business?
Yeah, sure. So HUMANXP is a digital and organizational advisory firm. So we really specialize in helping companies make the most of their technology investments. And so we've seen over the last, say, 10 years or so, an explosion in this idea of digital transformation and all these new technologies being introduced into the environment. What we're finding more and more is that those organizations are having a really hard time getting the return on investment from those IT digital implementations. And so where HUMANXP really fits in is to help kind of round out that picture and round out the puzzle on a technology investment. So we focus on the organizational capabilities, we focus on the change processes, and most importantly, we focused on the human and the people and the experience that they're having and how that translates to the customer experience. So our clients are mostly Fortune 500 clients. They're global, so they are all, of course, impacted by what's going on in our economy. But the place we fit in is really a niche player in the consulting space, because many of our big consulting partners that we know about, the Accentures and the Deloittes and McKinseys, they're tackling this usually from the lens of IT change management, or maybe even business strategy. And what we're doing is trying to bring all of those elements together to say, if companies really want to maximize their technology spend, they need to really look cross-functionally at their operating model and at their organizational capabilities to be successful.
Oh, that's fascinating. Imagine putting people in the center of the conversation.
Well,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's not rocket science, right? I mean,
Yeah.
people are the fuel, people are the engine. We've been saying that for a very long time. My background is actually human resources, so I can definitely say when I studied human resources, I realized that the human wasn't at the center. It was quite frustrating.
Yeah.
And when I finally found myself into the IT organization, where they were actually really trying to put people back into, into the mix with the technology, I thought, this is just an interesting world. We have got to find a way to make technology and people work better together, because that is the future. So
Yeah.
that's why HUMANXP was born.
Yeah. So that really segues perfectly into my next question. So what inspired you? I mean, what's the entrepreneur in you somewhere in the back there? What inspired you to go out on your own? And specifically, what was the gap you saw? And maybe you already spoke to that, but why do you think this was for you?
Yes, I am just so passionate about people unlocking their potential. And what I've really studied is how an individual impacts an organization. And it's a field called organizational behavior. And what I found is that there are just really huge cultural implications that were just not getting addressed when it came to some of these digital transformation initiatives. And I've worked with HR groups, I've worked with marketing groups, IT, business, and all these different functional silos. Even though they had many, many handoffs and many opportunities to collaborate, they were really tackling their challenges in a silo. And so I just saw this huge opportunity, especially once I got in IT and kind of had full visibility of all the great work that IT departments were already doing to manage change, that there was an opportunity to take the strength of a HR organization, the strength of a marketing organization, the leadership um, in general, and kind of tie all of those components together, really design an organization much more nimble and agile and able to quickly and rapidly adjust to the changes of our world.
Okay. So normally that is not during COVID-19 kinds of circumstances. How does XP sort of engage with clients? What are the phases that you go through with a client on to taking them through their digital journey?
Yeah, so usually HUMANXP gets called in when folks are having an adoption challenge. So we implemented this software and it's not going like we hoped, or we want to implement this software, but maybe we've tried before and it's failed. So how can you help? And we always start with redefining, usually a redefining of the challenge and the question itself. And so what that means is it's not necessarily looking at just the tool that was selected. It's looking at all those other components that I mentioned and tying all of those items together to get to the actual functionality and behavior change that you are trying to drive. And so usually that starts with looking at your customer experience and your customer experience journey. I mean, the customer really is, at the center of the business. And so often we recommend to our clients that if they're not having a customer experience focused business strategy, that is the right place to start. Because when you are constantly adapting and adjusting to your customers' demands, you really get the impetus that they want speed, they want to be digitally engaged, they want to be a part of your business. And so kind of that's usually the first way we do it. We just say, let's look at the problem much bigger than it is, look at it as if it were a kind of a holistic customer experience problem, and really figure out how we align all those other components that usually aren't addressed in technology implementations, like the organization, like the capabilities, and like the processes. So it's very traditional consulting in a way, right? We go through the same sort of engagement process, but the difference is we are looking much more holistically at the organization, because at the end of the day, HUMANXP exists to help redefine organizational operating models and help organizations adjust for to be less command and control and to be a little more risk tolerant, right? Because if we want to be more agile and we want to design for speed, which is what we need to do kind of in this new digitally enabled world, then we have to be able to move quickly and have change as a capability. And we really pride ourselves on being able to leave organizations with having that capability themselves.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's fascinating. Bringing OT and operational technology together all in one, and
Yes.
have a conversation about what the IT solution should be doing, and then on the back end, making sure that actually works. That's fascinating. So what are some of the main barriers organization companies sort of run into, or challenges, if you will, as they walk down this digital journey path?
Yeah, that's a great question, because there are so many challenges, and so often, especially if you read the change management literature, you will see that adoption is the barrier and adoption is the challenge. But more often than not, it's not really related to people not wanting to use the tool or the way the tool was designed. It's much more often related to the holistic picture, right? So it might be management practices, it might be the way people are incentivized, it might be that they are using or still have in place old mechanisms or old ways of working. In general, the operating models that were designed are still there from, when we designed operating models back in the 1940s, when these companies were started, right? And so the reason you have folks like Amazon and Uber and these guys being just so progressive and on top of things is they started with this idea that we can constantly be designing and iterating, and we can have kind of this a lower risk adversity, because we recognize that in order to meet our customers' demands, we are going to have to constantly be changing. And so, I think to answer your question specifically, the barriers really relate to the ability of leadership to rally around this idea that it's not just a technology, it is a full cultural and capability change. I started my career in healthcare, and the great thing about healthcare is people always rally around the patient and patient safety and wanting zero incidents and zero harm for the patient. So no matter what initiative you do in a healthcare setting, you always come back to that singular goal. And leadership really was very transparent around that in their processes and their planning, and all the way down to every frontline staff being aligned to that goal. And so I always think back of that as I'm coaching clients, especially as they're facing these digital transformation barriers, because if we are all aligned around the same strategic priorities and our barriers are down and we're being transparent and we're constantly ready to fail fast and learn and iterate, that is the way we're going to be successful. So.
Okay. So I a little bit of a lengthy question here, but in Anna Karenina, Tolstoy posited that happy families are all alike. Every unhappy family is unhappy in its own unique way. If you think about success and failure in these journeys, are there some parallels to that? Do all organizations that succeed do so in the same way, and all that fail, they just all find their own unique ways of failing or not adopting?
This is a great question. It really is so thought-provoking, because I almost look at success and failure in the same way. A lot of these companies that are successful, they understand that organizational effectiveness is a key component to technology effectiveness. So you can't just have technology without the org effectiveness and the org development component. So, what's good or happy for some companies are the ones that are doing the fundamentals right. And the ones where there's failure, I would say they probably are not even getting these fundamentals right. They're not doing their processes or looking at their processes. They're not being transparent. They don't have leadership alignment. So it's almost a flip side of the coin, right? I think we always tend to focus on the failures and what's not working. In my example earlier with low change management and low adoption rates, it's easy to point your finger kind of at that one thing. But really what's offering that competitive advantage is all of those components coming together to be successful. And so the differentiator here, right, is being able to take your products, your people, your services, your capabilities, meld that all together and be the company that you are offering in that unique competitive advantage. And so that's really, to me, the differentiating factor.
Interesting. So let's get to the current environment. How has the HUMANXP sort of, adopted to working from home, and how do you engage the clients now?
Yeah, what's great is we work with clients across the globe. So our clients are used to engaging with us remotely and engaging themselves remotely. So I think that's a fortunate circumstance with Fortune 500 companies. But, on that front, there have been many risks in some of the tools that we use, right? We hear about this Zoom story and potentials of that getting hacked. And, it's amazing to see how these companies have responded and the amount of messaging that they're providing to their users on exactly what to do and exactly how to manage this situation is just incredible. And so it's been great for us because we get to see firsthand some of our work kind of coming to the forefront, right? Where these IT organizations are getting a chance to be at the forefront of a crisis, and how our teams that we're working with are responding has just been incredible. So HUMANXP has used Teams, Microsoft Teams product in the past to stay connected. And so we've continued to do that and definitely plugged in with our colleagues, both our internal colleagues and our clients across the globe to make sure we're staying connected. Another kind of interesting thing that makes me think of is the hardest part about it is that you really can't go out and kind of get new relationships, and you can't connect with new people unless you're doing it very, I guess, one-dimensional, maybe via LinkedIn and other methods. So I definitely have encouraged people, especially our clients and the clients that we're working with regard to sales and marketing teams, to go back to the relationships that you already have. And it's a great time to kind of dust off your old Rolodex of contacts and reach out to folks that you maybe haven't connected with in a while because your daily hustle and bustle and to-do lists just kind of get ahead of you.
Yeah.
And we see some of our clients taking advantage of platforms like LinkedIn for social media posts and taking advantage of their customer relationship management tools, their CRM tools, to clean up contact data and just really kind of freshen their sales process, which I think is a really, really great opportunity, especially given the circumstances. So relationships are so important, and that doesn't change. And so even if we're having to connect in this kind of new and interesting way, and we're seeing each other over a camera instead of over a coffee, I think it's still just as great, right? We still feel just as connected. And I'm seeing people on camera for the first time and getting definitely a new view of myself by doing that too.
I'm looking forward to having coffee, though. I mean, in person.
Yes, me too.
So yeah, absolutely. So this is, I mean, we could be going on here, and I really appreciate the conversation. But please tell people, our listeners, if they wanted to engage and follow up with HUMANXP, how would they find you and connect with you?
Yeah, so we definitely encourage everyone to check out our website. It's humanxp.io. And you can also just email me directly, Erin at humanxp.io.
Fantastic. So thank you, Erin, and thank you to all of you that were watching this ION vlog, 10 Minutes of Tech Gab. I'm Jan Odegard, Senior Director of Academic and Industry Partnerships at the ION. Signing off for today. Be good.
Thank you, Jan. Everyone, take care.
Thank you.